Rochester, the home of Strong Museum, Lilac Festival, and Abbott's, this is FC3's Monkey Business, starring Tanya Mattress, Billy DeTore, and Chris Frank in stunning Kodachrome. And now here's your host, Chris.
Yay! Thank you, Elizabeth. And that is our lovely guest, Elizabeth Rice. Good to hear from you, honey.
Hi.
How's things? How you holding up in all of this weird isolation? You and Mom are good?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. I mean, it's weird not being at work, but
right.
I'm finding other stuff to do. The only bad part is my normal fabric store that I order from online is currently got a 30-day turnaround. So,
ouch.
That doesn't help a lot.
Yeah, because I had just, this all kind of kicked off a little bit after I got back from Gallifrey 1 in February, and so I didn't have anything. I don't have anything right now really to make a new costume, even though I've got plenty of time. So,
right.
And even like the fabric that I want isn't even in stock anywhere, so I have to wait for them to figure out when they're getting it back in too.
Well, give me some perspective here. How long does it usually take to get material you need?
Depending on how much I'm getting, usually like a week and a half, depending on how much fabric they have to cut for me. I order a lot of times from fabric.com because it's generally cheaper than buying it at Joann's or wherever. But yeah, they've got like a 30-day turnaround right now. At least that's what they're saying. It might be shorter because I know a lot of times people, under promise and over deliver, but just because a lot of stores are shut down and a lot of people are buying fabric to make masks, especially now. They've just got such a long turnaround time, and they've got fewer people, I think, working in their warehouse for social distancing reasons and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So all of our friends and family out there, the additional voice that you are hearing, as I mentioned a moment ago, is the lovely and talented Elizabeth Rice, the most important employee at the Strong Museum of Play, as far as we're concerned. And as you are used to being in a job where you're in the middle of a sea of people, this has got to be kind of weird that you're just basically home right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because this week was supposed to be spring break.
Right.
So it's very weird, but definitely the right call because
absolutely.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to open soon. We don't know when that's going to be, though. Originally, they'd said they were going to try to open up again March 16th, but they just told everybody on Monday that it's kind of an indefinite thing right now. So, but thankfully they're being really awesome and finding a way to pay all the employees at the museum.
Oh, that's good. That's got to be a comfort that, you're stuck and not powerless at the same time.
Yeah, one less thing to worry about. Don't have to fight with the unemployment website, which I guess has been not a fun thing.
From what I'm hearing anecdotally, it has been quite the nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been swamped, because everybody needs it, yeah.
And with me, as always, my friends, my family, my co-host, Billy DeTore is with us as well, as usual.
Hey, Chris.
How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing okay.
And the lovely and talented Tanya Mattress is here.
Hello.
And rounding out the panel for today is our new producer-in-chief, the technical man in the van, the man with the plan, Mr. Daniel Carmen. Good to see you, Daniel.
Good to see me.
Yeah, I have a picture of you up in front of me right now.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You and I are in it together. We're dressed up in vintage gear. It's that stuff. It's that picture that we took way back in the day when we were at Darien Lake.
Darien Lake, yes.
The old-timey picture where we tried to look
you
all
hijack
like
important. Webcam and you're watching me now. That's all.
I can't hijack a webcam. No, I'm not that good. I can't even hijack. I can't even get my own webcam to work. Are you freaking kidding me? Right about now. Anyway, but Elizabeth is on board and will be joining us probably on and off over the next couple of weeks. Going to be talking about a lot of things that she is very interested in and stuff that we either A, share interested in, such as in today's topic, or B, we don't know as much about it. So we're going to lean on her expertise to help guide us the way through new and interesting fandoms. No pressure, Elizabeth, none whatsoever. But today's topic is...
Just make sure you'll make us like stuff. That's all we ask. Yeah. Just don't let us go, not until we're 100% on board.
Yes.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. Yeah, and selling Billy is easy. I mean, he's so open-minded about things. He just loves to explore new stuff all the time. I could be a bit cranky. I will warn you there right now.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
A bit.
It's stop. But today's topic is going to be an easy one. It's near and dear to my heart. We're going to be talking about none other than everybody's favorite Time Lord, the Doctor, in all of their forms. I guess we're going to,
Lord.
yeah, and yeah, we're going
Because who knows? Who knows now?
and we're going to focus on this most recent series 12, which just completed about a month ago. And as always, we're going to warn you right now, today's conversations will be brought to you by FC3's own fragrance. Spoilers. So there will be a ton. So if you have not watched series 12, hit pause, go binge it, and come back. All right. I thought it was a really good series. So we'll talk more about that at length coming up shortly. We're going to take a quick break just so you can go ahead and hit the pause button in the logical spot. Go watch series 12 and then come back, and we'll be right here twiddling our thumbs waiting for you. Go on, go do it now.
I'll be back in 11 hours.
All right. We'll see you soon. Covering a history of nearly 60 years at this point. We're coming up on at this point is what it feels like. Let's see, it's 1963 to 2000, so 57 years. So yeah, we're closing in on 60 years at this point. One of the longest running science fiction TV shows on the planet, and even with a big 19-year break sitting in the middle of it. And we are talking about none other than Doctor Who, the phenom from England. Produced in Wales, has been since 2005. It has experienced what now? 5 doctors at this point. Well, and an honorary doctor somewhere in the point. And it's just a juggernaut. Well, the War Doctor, John Hurt's cameo in the 50th anniversary special, which was pretty cool. So as we said before the break, this is going to be spoilerific. So if you have not seen Series 12 yet, but you're still hanging in there, then guess what? You're about to find out some things that you didn't know before. Since Elizabeth, you are our guest of honor for this week, I'm going to ask you just flat out, what'd you think of Series 12?
I really, really enjoyed it, especially the way they started it. And as frustrated as I am sometimes with how many secrets they've been keeping since Chris Chibnall took over, I was so glad that they kept so many of the secrets that they did, especially the Master. I mean, because I was glad that I didn't know there was going to be a new Master because I love Missy so much, but so I was like, if I had known that was coming, I probably would have been a little more hesitant to like Sacha Dhawan as the Master, but just especially like that turn on a dime that he made from O to the Master was just brilliant.
Exactly. I mean, it was that what the hell moment where it's like you're seeing it and there's something more to this character of O than is being let on. Something's going on here, and you're sure that there's a twist coming, but I did not see the Master reveal, and that was very, very cool, and he plays it properly nuts.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
He is definitely where Michelle Gomez was just unhinged and embracing it, right? She just was just loving the fact that she was psychotic, just in dwelling in it and embracing it and reveling in it. And then John Sims before her was that driven obsessive, just that the beat of the drums, which was nuts. They finally actually did a whole reference to the drum beat in his head, which they did not do at all during Missy. I was wondering if Peter Capaldi at any point was going to do like some sort of, the 4 taps or something like that to get Missy's attention. And they completely just let that whole slide.
They did kind of reference it. I mean, because the whole, like the last season that Peter Capaldi did, the reason why I kind of started to think that it was the Master in the vault before we found out that, yes, it was Missy, is I forget which episode it was the end of, but it's Nardal's down there, checking on the vault, and
Mm-hmm.
you hear 3 knocks, and then right at the end of the episode, before the episode ends, it's 4 knocks, and I was like, oh, I think I know. So that was like the only reference I think they made to the drums for the entire time that Missy was the main master.
That's fair. I did not pick up on that.
Yeah.
Which is why I love having Elizabeth on board, because she actually has supplanted me as the Doctor Who expert in my life. I thought I knew so much, and then Elizabeth came along and just proved me wrong, and I love it. I revel in that, which I have said on several occasions and will admit several times more. But yeah, when he came out and suddenly revealed, and it was like, okay, now we're off. This is going to be something. Did you feel? I mean, in my opinion, season 12 was obviously stronger than 11. Do you agree? Disagree?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Like I thought it was an interesting concept to have season 11 be all new stories, all new monsters. But I think that I don't think it was a bad season, but it definitely didn't have a whole lot for people who had been fans of the show for a really long time. I definitely liked this season's balance more of new and older monsters, like with the Master, with the Jadoon and everything.
Cybermen.
And the Cybermen, Captain Jack. That was so exciting when he came back.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. I thought it was weird that they kept them apart for so much.
Yeah.
I was fully well expecting Jack to show up in the finale, but when he did, and I was like, wait, where's Jack? Jack should be here.
This is potential slight, unofficial spoilers, but if you watch any of the if you've seen any of the videos where they did the different challenges with Jodie and Tosin and Mandip, at the end they had a tiebreaker between Jodie and Mandip, and if you look really closely, it almost looks like John Barrowman's there, because it looks like it's his costume.
I heard that. I'd heard that somebody
said they're in different costumes from the episode that he was in. So maybe he'll show up in the Christmas special. That would be really nice, because it seems like it would be a lot for him for the amount of kind of underhandedness that he had to do to keep people off his scent that he was in Cardiff for anything other than apparently his cover story was he was remodeling their flat. It feels like he was there for quite a long time to be filming any, that one scene.
Just a couple scenes, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully.
He may be showing up at Christmas time is what you're thinking.
Yeah, because he did say something about, when she needs me, I'll be there. So here's hoping.
I love
so much fun.
The sheer glee in his face when he finds out from Graham that the Doctor is now a woman. He's like, I can perceive it.
That was so great. Yeah, I know. That was so much fun. And then I also liked that the season had more of an arc. Her first series didn't have an arc, which I think was a little bit of a mistake. You kind of had it with Tim Shaw, but you really only got that in the first episode, and at the end of the episode, this one, you kind of got it throughout, which I like, because that way, and it's also nice when you don't know what episodes exactly will factor into that, into the series arc, because at Gallifrey 1, since that weekend was a new episode airing, that was, I can't remember that the one with all the people who wrote Mary Shelley, the Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
I know which one it is. I can't think of the name of the episode.
Yeah, The Haunting of Villa something.
Right.
But
Villa
sadly, I forgot that I needed to not look at Twitter before a certain after a certain time. I'm used to when Doctor Who's airing here, I'm used to being okay, 3:00, I got to turn off all my internet so I don't see anything. But I forgot that it would be 11 o'clock in LA that I needed to stop looking at. So I did get it spoiled, but I loved that they snuck the Cybermen in that episode. Nobody had any idea that episode was going to be such a key player in the season until you got to that part, which I loved. Yeah. So I definitely stronger than her first season for sure.
Now, Tanya.
Yes.
You have recently caught up with Series 12. You're all up to speed on that one.
Yes, but don't ask me very many questions. But go ahead.
Well, you were good with 11, right? You're up on 11 and 12.
Yes.
Okay. And so did you feel a difference between the two series altogether?
Yeah, it seems like Series 12, she came more into her own, that she was a little more comfortable being in that role, and it didn't seem to be as like forced or new to her.
Right.
And you could tell that she was having more fun with it, with different aspects of the different episodes.
Okay.
That's my perception on it.
Very cool. Now, has she cemented, in your opinion, her role as the Doctor? Is she it now? I mean, because there's always that one moment where the cycle is a new Doctor comes on board and everybody's like, I'm not sure about this guy. And then you warm up to the person and you're like, okay, I'm getting there. And then just before they announce they're about to leave the show, you're like, okay, this is one of the coolest Doctors ever. And then you're like, no, don't go. And the cycle starts over again, right? Do you feel like you're starting to settle in with Jodie at this time? Has she made that impression? Do you feel like she's got a little more to go? Is she still establishing herself? Is she all the way in yet?
That I'm not really too sure about, knowing full well that they're looking at possibly regenerating her in either 2021 or 2022. It's kind of like Game of Thrones. You don't get too attached to any of your favorite characters because they're going to yank them out from underneath you anyway. So I'm not getting to like so in deep that I'm just like, oh, if they take her away, I'll be devastated and heartbroken. But I'm enjoying her as the Doctor.
Okay,
I'm enjoying just the new twist on having a female Doctor and everyone being so surprised at it, but then she comes up with some ingenious things, and it's just I can see the quirkiness of the Doctor through her.
and I'm going to ask, and then Billy, I want to ask your opinion, because I don't think you're not really as into the show as we are, if I remember correctly, right?
I watched the Eccleston, the Tennant, and Matt Smith on Netflix. Then they took them off Netflix, and I saw the first 4 or 5 episodes of Jodie Whittaker. I didn't see the Doctor between Matt Smith and Jodie.
Okay, that'd be
who
Peter
you
Capaldi.
say is your favorite. You love him, right, Chris?
Oh, I do. I'm a huge Capaldi fan. He has actually managed to supplant Tom Baker in my hierarchy of favorite Doctors, which is no small feat.
Yeah. I have this weird OCD where Amazon doesn't have the shows exactly like how I want to watch them, and I sort of tapped out, unfortunately. And then I started watching the Jodie Whittaker on BBC America and enjoyed it, but the commercials threw me, to be honest with you. I'm in an era where
horrible.
The commercials piss me off, and I heard from someone that was on the podcast, and I don't know if this is true or not, said that they cut out content from the shows.
Yes.
To put more commercials in. So I was sort of waiting for the DVD set or
I don't think they usually
something.
I don't think they usually do that when it's a brand new episode, but definitely I noticed that when they do like marathon reruns, like they were doing at the end of last year leading up to the new season. One of my favorite episodes is the Stolen Earth Journey's End 2-parter that wraps up season 4. They cut so much out of Journey's End. Like they even cut the kiss out at the end, and I was really, really angry. I'm like, that's one of my favorite parts of that episode.
Yeah, that's the episode I was referring to during our question episode last week, where we were talking about music and pieces of music that pull emotion from you. Is Journey's End is the one where it has that twist at the end when all the companions and the Doctor are flying the TARDIS together.
Oh yeah,
and
I miss Murray Gold.
Oh God, I tell you, I don't think the current music is bad. It's just it doesn't seem to have the same kind of vibe. It doesn't mesh with what's going on like Murray Gold.
And then even with Murray Gold, like because it was all his music, he would reuse different themes for different even if it wasn't even if it the like I think somebody said that they used Rose's theme somewhere in Capaldi's season. I can't remember exactly where, but they use something from like the time that Rose was on the show in some place, and it's but yeah, I miss having some of those recurring themes. I mostly miss I Am the Doctor because that is like the best Doctor theme that has ever existed, in my opinion.
I agree.
It's sort of my OCD that keeps me from jumping back in. Because the episodes I've seen, I couldn't love a TV show more with Eccleston and Tennant and Matt Smith. And I enjoyed the first 4 episodes or so of Jodie Whittaker. I hadn't had the chance to really connect with it, but I enjoyed the show. But the commercials, like I said, just sort of turned me off and said, well, I'll catch up with it at some point afterwards.
Yeah, my goal is to finally start collecting the DVDs. What was that, Dan? Did I hear Dan?
I don't
No,
think
you
so.
did not.
I heard somebody else.
Yeah, because right now they're not even on Amazon and Prime anymore.
No.
Because they took them off at the beginning of the year because HBO is supposed to launch a new service, and that'll be the exclusive home of the new series of Doctor Who from now until they find somebody else to sell the show to, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be HBO Max.
Yeah.
HBO Max. Oh,
Yeah.
another freaking service I got to get.
Yeah, we need more services. Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually watched Series 12 on Amazon.
Yeah.
Which was great because, like we've talked about, we were touching on just a moment ago, BBC America is just atrocious. And I'm going to have to make this debate point. They actually do gut first run. Because I remember watching season 11 through BBC America, right? And it was just so chaotic to try and watch it through all the commercials.
Didn't they? Wasn't it also BBC America that added like the I'm Amy Pond and my imaginary best friend to every single episode that Amy Pond was in?
Yeah. Yeah, they would do that. They would do that opening every time. But then I watched, and then my son wanted to catch up because he did not see series 11 or 12. Right. And he heard how excited I was with the end of series 12. So he's like, all right, let's get into it and we'll start from scratch. So I have season 11 and 12 on Amazon Prime. Okay, good. And so we're watching The Woman Who Fell to Earth, and it was like watching it for the first time. It was almost dramatically different because there were scenes I don't remember seeing.
Oh, okay.
And there was a substantial number of them. And I'm like, wow, BBC America was even screwing premieres. That was amazing to me.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I'm I don't have access to BBC America anymore, and I'm not missing it in any way, shape, or form. I'm noticing.
Especially because it's BBC America, but they mostly show Star Trek.
Which is that has its own connotations of weird.
But yeah, it's like that's not a BBC show.
Yeah.
I feel like the only other BBC show I ever see on there is Sherlock once in a great while.
Or Death in Paradise. I've seen a few episodes of Death in Paradise on BBC America. And if it's not that, then it's professional wrestling. No, wait a minute. That's Sci-Fi Channel. Never mind. Sorry. So the two big moments of Series 12. Let's jump into Spoilerville here with both feet and a few sonic screwdrivers. The Ruth Doctor.
Yeah.
Right, or Dr. Ruth, as many people wanted to call it, because it was too funny not to. To have her show up and Chris Chibnall saying, nope, this is not an alternate universe. This is the Doctor. This is the real thing. And it's like, you're already turning your head on its side going, wait, what's going on here? And it was so funny to me because I do believe in just letting the story play out. Right? I don't try to armchair quarterback it. I come up with my own ideas. I'm like, well, I'm wondering where it's going to go, but I don't try to waste too much time armchair quarterbacking something. But to watch social media just erupt with the force of Vesuvius and Krakatoa combined, and they were trying to, it has to be here. It has to be here. No, and there's this one guy who kept saying his theory of this. It's between Troughton and Pertwee. It's between Troughton and Pertwee. That's the only place where she can fit. And anybody who would discuss it or be like, well, why don't we just wait and see? No, you can't wait and see. This is the way it is. I'm like, oh my God.
Wait and see, people. Come on.
Wait and see. So to see how it all fits together, and then circled back around in the finale where the Master reveals that the Doctor is indeed the timeless child. And it's like, well, okay, now how does that work? So the Doctor is over 10 million years old. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, what did you think? What did you think? And it could have been done differently, or how would you have worked it? So, let me ask that question.
When I was watching the episode, I thought she was going to be Romana because her name was Ruth and she had like the little R necklace. I'm like, oh, it's Romana. They're finally bringing back Romana. And then I was so confused for the rest of the episode. But I really like it because what it does is, like the show needs to be able to continue on for however many more years, is it brings something new to the show, which is what it needs. And, you know, people, as soon as the season finale, people were already like, oh, I can't wait for Big Finish to, you know, do some stories with the Ruth Doctor. Because, you know, now it really opens up the show. And like, even technically they could have a spin-off series from Doctor Who about the Doctor, which I think is hilarious.
Yes.
And I'd be really interested to see, you know, that story or hear that story, however they wind up telling that story, because I really hope they do. Because there's a lot of questions, like people are bringing up, you know, why is her TARDIS the police box? Because originally the idea had been that it got stuck that the TARDIS got stuck that way when, you know, the first Doctor and Susan and Ian and Barbara left Earth. It, you know, got stuck.
Yeah.
And then it'd be really interesting to see the Doctor have like a main enemy other than the Daleks, because I'm going to go off on a limb and assume that that Doctor doesn't know the Daleks. And it's very interesting. I think it's a very interesting thing to do in the show. I definitely think it's probably going to come up again, at least in the, you know, Christmas or New Year's, whatever time frame they show the special. And it's definitely going to come up. And I'll be interested to see what more they do with it. I hope this isn't the end of that story. I mean, it's definitely not the end of that story, but I hope they do more with earlier Doctors than we knew before.
Well, it's going to be interesting now if this lock has been blown off of the series at this point. You know, who else are they going to bring in and introduce them as the Doctor? You know,
right.
We have multi-Doctor episodes now. Who else is going to be showing their face? You know, and be interesting to see how deep they dive into that particular lore. I think you and I chatted a little bit about it via Twitter after the finale there, and you know, just seeing how many regenerations that the being known as the Doctor burned through just in the early days. You know, while what's Tecteun was the name of the foster parent. You know, when they were
I still think she's Rassilon.
You know what? That's a fairly solid theory in my opinion.
Yeah.
Are you now? Billy? I know you're not as familiar with Series 12 as we are. Tanya, I'm going to touch on that with you. Did you get a vibe of maybe other major personalities that you've learned through Doctor Who lore? Is it like you saw maybe Tecteun or something else, or?
Don't ask me that. I would not even have a clue of the different personalities, because I am not as deep into it as you guys are. In regards to it. I'm like, I don't have a tendency to think and analyze and overanalyze and try to figure out who is who and what could be what and things like that. I don't go that deep into the swimming pool.
Yeah,
I stay more in the shallow end of doggy paddle.
I only dog paddle.
Yeah. You dive in feet first, and
here's the thing: is when you have as much history with a particular fandom as I have, I don't like overanalyzing it. I don't go out of my way to overanalyze it like some of these folks on social media do. But I have this base of historical knowledge. I have been watching the show for so long that I know the lore, I know the personalities. If they had said, "Oh, this is Barusa," I would have been like, "Oh, okay, cool. I know exactly who that is." You know, or this is this person and this is this person. Oh, okay, cool. Those are names. Like, you know, like Elizabeth has mentioned Romana, who was a companion of the Doctor. She was a Time Lady. In the Big Finish audios, the woman who played her, the second version of her, became the president, and so she was the president of Gallifrey, and so she had a big role. So to see her come back would be very cool for a lot of the classic fans. You know, for folks who've been with the show for so long, it'd be great. Oh yeah, Romana, that'd be great. So
they would have to be so careful to not step on the Big Finish stuff, because people love her so much in the Big Finish audios.
Oh yeah, and it's still Lala Ward doing the voice, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally. They did 1 or 2 series of Gallifrey with a different actress. I forget her name, but it was like just a offshoot spin-off kind of little side thing that they did. But
gotcha.
They did have Mary Tam actually played her in a couple of audios as well. In some of the early episodes of Gallifrey.
How long has
Which
it
was
been
fun.
since Mary Tam passed away? It's been a couple of years now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
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 Poor Mare. Anyway, but so like I was saying, to my point though, for Tanya's sake, is I know all of this stuff, but it's not like I go out of my way to find it. I don't go out of my way to discuss the details of it, and it's like, so at least I hope not. I would like to think that I'm not going to be that kind of an irritable fan. Where I'm like, oh God, he's going to start talking about Doctor Who again for another 3 hours on the same topic. But all right, where was I going with that thought? I don't remember. Anyway,
I don't know. Where were you going?
I don't remember. There was a point that I was going to make, and I forget what it is because
you were going to ask me and Tanya a question. I don't know what it was, but
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I'm sort of with Tanya in that there's fandoms that I'm obsessive about every little detail, but I wasn't that familiar with Doctor Who until 5 or 6 years ago, because I grew up as a little kid. We've talked about it before. I used to see the occasional Tom Baker episode with my brother on its original run when it was on Channel 21. And then I was out until 8 or 9 years ago as at Fan Expo in Toronto, and there were people cosplaying as Weeping Angels. And Susan and I asked, who are you supposed to be? We don't know. And they told us. And so then we wanted to find out, and we wound up, they said, oh, we're these Doctor Who characters, and they explained it. And so when we got around to watching Doctor Who, Blink became my favorite episode.
Yeah,
oh, and that is one of the best. That's an amazing episode.
So it was the cosplaying Weeping Angels in Toronto that actually got me to watch Doctor Who again.
That's cool. That's cool. Let's cycle around and go to that. Liz, what do you remember? What's your first memories of Doctor Who? What was the first episode you watched?
Weirdly, so I think I might have told this story before. I've definitely mentioned it like on Twitter or whatever. But the first episode of Doctor Who that I saw, I didn't know that it was Doctor Who. What had happened is I was supposed to be doing homework, and my grandpa had fallen asleep with BBC America on, and they were playing Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead. And so I watched that, and I'm like, okay, that was cool. I really liked it. And I went back and did my homework. I did not know that it was Doctor Who until I started watching it, like after some friends and family had recommended it to me. But before I even started watching the show, my aunt and uncle are big fans of the show, and they were sitting down to watch the first episode of Series 6, which is The Impossible Astronaut. And so I'm sitting there, I'm not paying a lot of attention, but, in Series 6, in Impossible Astronaut, the astronaut comes out of the lake and shoots the doctor, and the doctor, quote unquote, dies. And they were freaking out. And I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. And I just walked away. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. This is weird. I'm walking away. But then some friends said that recommended the show to me. And so I basically binged the whole thing on Netflix. And I think at that point, Netflix only had up to season 5. Because season 6 had just finished airing that year, because I started watching it in 2011, I believe.
Okay.
And so then I bought season 6 on iTunes, and I watched that like within a period of 24 hours, which is a very interesting season to watch in 24 hours because a lot of stuff happens in that season, to say the least. And then, so the first like series that I watched as it went out on BBC America was Matt Smith's last season. Though I guess, at that point we didn't know that it was his last season, because he didn't say until, I think, right before Day of the Doctor was going to air.
Yes.
Yeah, because Peter Capaldi was in Day of the Doctor. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
Just his eyebrows. Just his eyebrows.
The eyebrows.
The attack
that was
eyebrows.
So much fun. Like, I still remember, like, because I watched it, like, the simulcast at home, and then I went and I watched it in movie theaters, and not everybody who was at the movie theater version of it, because it was a few days after the 50th, had watched it when it went out. And so it was so much fun hearing everybody else freak out. And then it was also a lot of fun hearing everybody kind of go, oh, when you hear Tom Baker's voice at the end, too.
Oh God, yeah. I remember
Yeah.
I was in my living room at home, and my ex was with me, and our friend Sybil, our box office goddess Sybil, was in the room, so we were all watching it for the first time together. And now for Erica, she was not as familiar with the past. She was into it.
Yeah.
She was a current a new Who fan, but Sybil and I have been watching it, forever and a day, and so. You hear, I kind of think you might, and to chill. I've never watched a TV show or a movie where a chill went ripping through my spine as fast and as vibrant as it did that moment. And I just stared at Sybil, and she looked at me and we're like, no, right? And we're like, oh my God. Now, poor Erica, she has no idea why the two of us are freaking out at the moment. We had to explain it to her after the fact because she was like, what's going on? I'm like, shh, don't talk. We got to watch this. And it was just astounding for us. We were like so blown away by that one.
Yeah, it'll be because Big Finish is actually doing a series with basically the premise is the Eighth Doctor and his companions are stuck on Earth in 2020, and they're actually bringing Tom Baker back to play the curator. So I'm really interested to see, well, not see, hear how that gets expanded upon because it's definitely interesting to see how that's gonna. Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. I think probably they'll have to figure.
How many of those Big Finish audios did the Eighth do, or still doing?
He still does them. Let me see if I can find a list.
Because I have not gotten into those as much as I want to, and I've always thought Paul McGann did a great job with the very little I've encountered with him. I always wish I could to see more, experience more of his Doctor, but and so I need to get into the Big Finish. That's just a thing.
Well, according to Wikipedia, pages in category 8th Doctor audio plays, the following 66 pages are in this category out of 66 total. But that's probably just like the ones that are starring him. Because there was an episode of the Diary of River Song that he did. He was in when Big Finish last year had their 20th anniversary of producing Doctor Who audios, and he was in 2 episodes of that box set, and so there's a lot. There's a lot, but a lot of the early ones I think you can either get for really, really cheap on their website, like I think $2 or even less. I think they might have a sale going on right now, but I think a lot of the early ones are on Spotify right now even, so you can get a taste of it that way.
I threw my kids off a couple of years ago, and I came home from work. I was just not in a great mood, and they're like, and my son goes, "Well, what are you gonna do? You gonna go to your office?" I said, "Yes, I'm going to my office." He goes, "What you gonna do? Play games?" I said, "No, I'm gonna watch Doctor Who." He goes, "Oh, which one?" I go, "All of it." And he looks at me and goes, "What?" I go, "All of it. I'm starting with Unearthly Child." He goes, "I'll see you next month."
Yeah. I know, because there's so much of the TV show, and then you throw in like the audios and the books and the comics, and it's just like,
right.
There's so much.
Well, that's the thing. When you got 57 years of history to play with, you're going to wind up with a lot of material. All right, so let me ask you this. I always love this question. This is always a fun question for me when I ask a diehard fan like you. All right. Hypothetical situation. Jodie Whittaker says, "Okay, that's it. I'm done. At the end of the season, I'm regenerating." You are Chris Chibnall. Who's next?
I really thought that Olivia Colman was going to be the 13th Doctor. So I would love to see Olivia Colman.
From Broadchurch, and she also had and she was also in the 11th Hour. Matt Smith.
I know it's funny because I was when they did the Twitter rewatch of that episode the other day, I was like, it's Prince Philip and the Queen, but from 2 different eras of the Crown. She's really like I love she's really great. Like I think because Jodie, I do like that she's kind of eccentric, kind of like Matt was, but I feel like Olivia's Doctor would be very serious, kind of like Peter Capaldi's Doctor was.
Right.
Yeah, I would love to see her because when I really when they announced that Chris Chibnall was going to be the next showrunner, I thought, okay, for sure. At that point, they hadn't said that Peter Capaldi was going to leave, but at that point, I thought, okay, for sure, whoever the next Doctor is, it's going to be somebody from Broadchurch. And I was right.
And you were right.
So, yeah, I would love to see Olivia play the Doctor. She would be great, I think.
Do you have any other ideas? Any other actor steps out? See, the nice thing about Chris Chibnall and his reign as the showrunner is he's made it very clear that all bets are off at this point.
Yeah.
Anything is
for sure.
anything is now possible. Any person who is a good actor has the potential to play this part.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but if one of like the Tennant children doesn't play the Doctor at some point, I would be very surprised. Like, it just feels like that has to happen now.
It'd be a third generation.
Yeah.
And then there's going to have to be some sort of reference to 5 and 10 when that happens.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like, if
well, see, no, 5, 10, 15. So the 15th Doctor will have to be one of Tennant's kids.
There you go.
Got it. Got it. That's a few years off. It's possible.
Yeah.
A question for Chris and Elizabeth as the two huge fans. Completely unlikely. Would an American ever be the Doctor?
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a definitive answer. I'm gonna say no. You'll probably never see an American actually play the Doctor. The closest I think you'll ever come is like with John Barrowman, who's actually Scottish and a Scottish citizen, but he plays Captain Jack. He's got his American accent, and that's his natural way he speaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've had a couple of British actors play "quote unquote" American accents.
Perry.
Yeah. Oh, Nicola Bryant. Yeah. Who had I thought Perry was probably from Rochester because she was so nasally. I don't think you're ever going to see an American Doctor. The closest you may come is you may say another Time Lord pop up somewhere along the line, and that'll be played by an American. Or maybe another long-term companion. But the Doctor itself, no.
Okay.
Never.
I think it would feel like a very different show with an American accent.
Definitely.
I think so. Yeah. I understand that they would want to entertain it to pay homage to one of the most rabid audiences on the globe right now, because Europe, he's strong in the character is strong in Europe, the character is strong in Asia, the character is massive right now in the United States. Mm-hmm. Right, so that would be paying homage to the most rabid part of the fandom is to make an American Doctor, but it's a British institution, so I don't see that as happening, and I'm okay with that. I don't find myself upset by that in any way, shape, or form. I know there are people who well, there should be an American Doctor. It's never going to happen. No, it's just
like if the because the Doctor Who movie with the Eighth Doctor was basically them trying to move production to America, but it obviously didn't work out. So that's probably as close as we would get. Though I would say that I've always thought that if Doctor Who had been an American show to start with, I would think that Alan Alda would have definitely played the Doctor at some point.
Oh my God, that would have been phenomenal.
He would have been so good as the Doctor. I would love to see him like guest star in Doctor Who. That would be really, really great.
Right, yeah. No, none other than Hawkeye Pierce playing the Doctor. Yeah. That would be phenomenal. I could see that too. Somebody came up with a slideshow one time. What if Doctor Who has been entirely an American production, and through the years, who would have been the first, the second, the third, etc. It made a point of mentioning names like Burgess Meredith, Vincent Price, Sam Rockwell, Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum would be great.
Jeff Goldblum would have been amazing.
They should get him to play some random Time Lord. That would be fun.
That would be just an amazing episode. So you think Olivia Colman, Tanya? Yeah. You are good enough. You are enough of a fan to make this kind of a call. Is there a particular actor or actress that you think would be a great next Doctor? And Dan and Billy, I want you to think about that as well.
I actually have an answer or a question.
Good deal.
I got a follow up.
I'm drawing a blank. Truly, I am truly drawing a blank.
That's kind of a good thing in its own way, because it proves that this is such a wide open thing now. I mean, we'll play the politics of it at the moment. The Doctor's been a white man for the majority of its existence. All right. So having Jodie Whittaker come on board has turned this whole equation on its ear. So it's not just, okay, who do we know in the British guy list? Right. So it broadens that out. I mean, I'll be honest, my contribution to this particular part of the question is a white male. But we're going to move on from that, and I'm going to pick Billy's brain because he said he had an answer.
Okay, actually, I have one other thought too. You just jogged something else in my head. Doctor Who's always been great about not seeing race in terms of relationships. A black doctor, British.
I seriously think that's entirely possible.
Okay. Yeah, especially because
there are a lot of great actors too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see, like, if they could, I would love it if they did even just a mini series with the Ruth Doctor, because I'd really love to know, exactly what was going on with her.
Yeah. You could even see you could even make part of that mini series. Whoever was the doctor before her regenerates into her, or she regenerates into somebody else.
Yeah.
So and they kind of I think that would help, kind of maybe shed some light on that whole. Those flashbacks that were going on with the guy who became the policeman.
Somebody online pointed out that that's the only time the Doctor's been a redhead, and this was the only time the Doctor's ever been happy. It's like, oh no!
The only time the Doctor's been happy was when he was a redhead.
I was like, oh no, that's so sad.
Funny. All right, but carrying on, Billy.
And one other thought, way less likely, probably close to impossible. But let's say somewhere along the way, Christopher Eccleston decides, things ended badly for me in terms of production. I'd like to come back and do things right. Or they throw just a ton of cash at David Tennant. So Jodie Whittaker, her season's up, regenerates. There's Eccleston or Tennant who opens his eyes, goes, oh no, not again.
I mean, they did kind of how they sort of have explained the curator so far. He said you might be visiting one or two old faces, so it could potentially happen. I personally, though, would love to see David Tennant come back and play the Master. I think that would be really interesting.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, he does such a good job at playing villains, especially in Jessica Jones. I was like,
oh yeah, with
Kilgrave
and Crowley in Good Omens. I mean, holy cow, those two characters were just so deliciously just twisted, and it wasn't the the unhand her Dan backslide, twirling the mustache. I'm evil for evil's sake. There was a reason, there was a purpose, there was a whole attitude behind it. I'm like, oh my god, these are great characters.
Yeah, if you want a really good mini series with David Tennant to watch, because the reason why when they announced that he was going to be playing Kilgrave and I found out that was a villain, the show that I had seen up to that point that made me the most excited to see him play that kind of gives it away that I'm saying that this, but The Escape Artist, they showed it on PBS. I don't know exactly where you'd find it to watch it, but him and the Escape Artist was really, really good.
Okay.
And then,
I'm not familiar with it, but I will definitely.
Yeah, it was like a mini series on PBS, and then also there was a mini series that just came. It's not a lighthearted thing to watch, but him in Deadwater Fell, which just came out on Acorn TV, is really good too.
Okay.
I will watch almost anything with David Tennant in it, to be perfectly honest. And I was really bummed because I was gonna start watching all of Peter Capaldi's new stuff, but the next movie that he was supposed to be in is one of the ones that got delayed because of the theaters being closed. So it's like the personal history of David Copperfield or something. He's supposed to be in that. So
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Of course, Broadchurch is good.
Right. I did enjoy that one myself.
Yeah.
Dan, your 2 cents on that particular question. Who do you think's the next one, or who would you see as the next one?
I don't know about who, but would the Doctor ever regenerate into a child?
Well, I think if it was within a story where it was a flashback, like with the reveal of the Timeless Child, you saw the being now known as the Doctor as a small child regenerating over and over and over again while Tecteun was doing her experimentation. Okay, so you saw that, but you also saw kind of progression where the child was getting older each time, where it was a teenager for a while and then moving on. You saw when they were introducing River Song, through that whole arc that she was in, she regenerated as a toddler. She was in, a small child for a little while. For the purposes of this show, I doubt they would do that, because to maintain a child in the lead role for a prolonged period of time would be
A,
a
they would
challenge.
age. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a challenge to see a 10, 11-year-old child playing this very heavy, very demanding part
Or
for
even
2
like
or
a
3
teenager,
years.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just from the perspective of like I get a lot of the child labor laws because they have to have more breaks and everything.
Well, there's
I
that.
think it
There's
would
the
be really
logistics
hard.
behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be interesting though. I know.
I could imagine like say the young man who played 5 in the Umbrella Academy. Here's a young man with an old soul. And so you can see a teenager playing an adult, trapped in a child's body very easily through this particular kid. But those types of actors are few and far between, and this kind of a demand would be impressive. So
It would be interesting. It'd be something different.
yeah.
Actually, they did those novelizations of some of the new series episodes that came out the other year, and then the novelization of Rose that Russell T Davies wrote. He did have an extended scene. The part where Rose is in the shed with Clive, and he's like showing her the different pictures of the doctor. There is like a paragraph where he says gives a couple descriptions. Like one you can clearly tell is supposed to be the 13th Doctor, but then there were a couple other ones, and I think somewhere in there he did say something about a child. But I really hope they do more of those novels because they were very, very good.
Did you read the short story that Stephen Moffat recently released?
Yeah.
The Umpty Ums.
Yes, that was really good. I also they've been doing a couple of those, which I thought was really interesting for the watch alongs that Twitter has been doing. My favorite one, I think, so far is the video that they did that was basically Amy's journal. I thought that was really cute. They actually got Caitlin to read it, and they did a whole video on YouTube. Yeah, it was really sweet. And I'll be definitely interested to see because tomorrow, Saturday, the 11th, they are doing a watch through of The Doctor's Wife, and Neil Gaiman has been hinting that he's written something. I don't know if it's a short story or if there's an actual video to go along with it, but I am ready to be emotional about that episode all over again with whatever extra scene he's written up there.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
I love that one.
And the actress who played Idris she was perfect for it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw my 2 cents in because I know I've said this before in other podcasts, but I am predicting that maybe not the next Doctor, but a very soon future Doctor is going to be a Harry Potter kid. You're going to see maybe not one of the Golden Trio, although if it is, it's definitely going to be Rupert Grint. But I'm seeing one of the other supporting cast. Somebody who went to Hogwarts is going to be going to Gallifrey. I'm fairly confident that's going to happen one of these days.
I never got into Harry Potter myself, but isn't one of the kids like the grandson of the actor who played Ian? I feel like that's a thing that I know.
Yes, that is true. And suddenly the actor's name is escaping me who played Ian Chesterton.
William something.
Well, yeah, he is still alive, thank God, and
Yeah.
he's definitely very old at this point, but he's still with us, and he played basically effectively one of the first companions.
Yeah.
And his grandson went to Hogwarts. Yes, I do remember that anecdote somewhere. So there's a connection there, right?
Yeah.
And they're British actors, right? So there's a thing there. Now, would it be Daniel Radcliffe or Emma Watson? I don't think so. I don't think that's their bag. I think Daniel Radcliffe would want to steer away from becoming the head of a huge franchise again.
Yeah.
Much like Ian McKellen was asked to take over the role of Dumbledore when Richard Harris passed away, and he's like, no, I'm not playing any more wizards. I'm already Magneto. I'm already Gandalf. I couldn't do this. It would just be too much. But I do see Rupert Grint as a possible. Or showing up somewhere as not so much a companion, but definitely a very important part. The young man who played Seamus, Neville, Matthew Lewis.
Yeah,
I see any of those as a potential future Time Lord. To going off the usual reservation. Maybe not Idris Elba because he's just so huge of a movie star, but that's a possibility for like a cameo. Maybe as somebody else, somebody important.
With Draco Malfoy, what Tom?
Oh yeah, Tom Felton.
Yeah.
Tom Felton would be hilariously good as the Doctor because people are just so used to him being, the snobbish prick. But to see him taking an entirely different spin as an entirely different type of a character, I think it'd be fabulous.
Sort of like Tennant going from the Doctor to Kilgrave.
Right.
He'd do the opposite way. He'd go from the evil to the good guy, but
right.
sort of along the same edge.
Mm-hmm. So it's always fun to do that armchair quarterbacking, and with a show like this, you can do it all you want. There's always going to be something to talk about. And hey, what if this? What about this?
Yeah. If you were going to bring back Romana, who would you cast as Romana?
Ooh, such a potent character with such great history. The only person that comes to my mind would be either Emma Thompson or Judi Dench.
Oh, that'd be fun.
All right, that's where I would start the list.
Yeah, I mean, I would. I would be really upset if they didn't bring back Lala Ward for at least like the regeneration scene. But I'd love to see Michelle Dockery play Romana because she's kind of got that air to her, especially in from her character in Downton Abbey.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
Or you can have Romana very, very on towards the end of a life cycle, getting ready to regenerate, and you have none other than Dame Maggie Smith.
Yeah.
Because imagine the sheer sass,
yes.
the sheer
awesome.
epic level of sass that would be able to come out of that character.
Oh, that'd be fun.
So that would be good. Who else? Who else would be a good one? I don't know. It's hard to really say. It's hard to get into that zone, but once you're there, you're like, oh, how about this person? What about this person? So, all right. Well, that's good. That's fun. It's always fun to talk about that show. And I feel bad because I know that Tanya and Billy aren't as into it as we are, right? So we kind of dominate the past 49 minutes and 53 seconds. And, we're just kind of trucking right along going, hey, what about this? What about this? And they're like, oh, okay.
I still like listening and learning.
Yeah. I just always appreciate patience, too, when we go off in these roundabouts. Any last licks, any questions, anything that we want to go ahead and armchair quarterback or talk about, or we're just going to just jump right into a break?
Well, I just want to let you guys know, and anybody else who's interested, Big Finish is putting up some episodes either for like really, really discounted or for free. Like right now, you can get the first episode that they did of their War Doctor series with John Hurt.
Oh, cool.
I think until the 12th, and then they're going to have another free episode after that. So it's a really good time to, get into it if you've got the time to, which a lot of people do right now.
Yeah, a lot do.
I've got some series that I got to get caught up on as well. Like the 7th series of River Song came out a few weeks ago, and I haven't listened to it yet, but I've got it. So they're really good. If anybody, they're a great way to fill in between the seasons of Doctor Who. Cause they do stories with everybody from the first Doctor up to 8. The 9th Doctor, they do a series of, stories that are under the Doctor Chronicles label, which basically means it's one person doing most of the voices and then usually one or two other actors doing a guest role.
Okay.
And they've done some with David Tennant, and then they've done some Doctor Chronicles with Matt Smith, and they did a Doctor Chronicles with Peter Capaldi, but somebody impersonating them basically. So they're trying to get them. They've said they've asked, but it just hasn't worked out quite yet. So hopefully they'll come on soon. I keep waiting for Arthur Darvill to maybe come back as Rory for a story with his daughter, because that would be a lot of fun. But there's, whatever corner of Doctor Who you love, there's probably more stories about it with Big Finish. Like one of the other series that I really like is Gallifrey, which is the series that, like you said, is where Romana's the president. There's a whole series of River Song. They're starting, I think it comes out either this month or next month. They're doing a series about Susan in the Time War.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
and I think, and Ian's going to be William Russell. That's his name. No, I finally remembered his name. William Russell. Yeah, he's going to be. I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to be an episode or two of that. So that'll be really interesting as well. The Gallifrey there's a lot of Gallifrey series, but if anybody wants a good jumping on point, the Gallifrey Time War series is really good. And kind of explains it, because that's where I started, and then I started catching up with the back catalog because they had a sale the other month, and I got a bunch of them really cheap because they're trying to get rid of some of their older CDs that they're not making anymore. But
Gotcha.
there's a whole lot of Big Finish if you're into it, because I think at this point Paul McGann has played the Doctor longer than anybody else just because of the audios.
Right. He's just the most underrated one because there's not as much known about him visually. So there's a lot of folks out there that if it isn't in some sort of visual format, they're not going to experience it.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, Elizabeth, thank you for joining this conversation. I appreciate it very, very much. And obviously, we're going to have you back on.
Yeah, you're kind of.
Chris, you're crackling.
Am I crackling? Am I better?
You were.
Now you are.
I don't know what happened.
Well, like I said, we're doing Dan has come up with some great technology for us to use, but we're still kind of bent on, we're still kind of leaning on our own at-home stuff, and my computer is old, and so am I, and so I apologize for that. But I was just basically saying thank you to Elizabeth for joining us, and I appreciate it, and we'll have you back on because this is one of those things that I just love talking about. And I definitely going to want to pick. I can't wait for the Christmas special to come out because I'm going to want to pick your brain over that.
I know. I can't wait. I hate it when they do cliffhangers like that.
Seriously, it's like, wait, I want to know more. I want to know more now.
At least we know they've filmed it. I would have been like really upset if I didn't know that they'd already filmed it, because at this point I'm going to imagine that the next series of Doctor Who is not going to be exactly when they said it was going to be.
Nothing is at this point,
yeah.
Right.
I know, like, the other show that I've been looking forward to is David Tennant's doing a version of Around the World in 80 Days, and they had to stop filming basically in the middle of it.
Oh, I'd heard about that,
Yeah. That's why he's got a mustache. It's a look.
It's a look, she says.
Well, it's a look, because, like, the first, picture of it that I'd seen, because they hadn't any on-set pictures, so the first picture I saw was, like, when he had the picture that his wife had posted on Instagram, and but he had also like not shaved the rest of his face, so you could clearly see the mustache, but then he was very scruffy elsewhere. Like this is a look.
It's funny things that actors have to go through.
I know. I'm like, I hope they're not telling him he can't do anything with his hair for however long.
I know. Well, they'll figure it out.
Yeah. Sure, continuity can figure out something.
Yeah, wigs are good that way.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump into a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about a couple of events, and then we'll have our question of the week. Elizabeth, you going to hang out for our question of the week this week?
Sure.
Outstanding. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, and all points in between. Good to talk to everybody so far. But this has been a fun conversation. I've been enjoying this.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is the point in the show where we usually talk a little bit about events. Unfortunately, those are thin and few and far between right now, and they keep dropping like flies with the way the current health crisis has been unfolding. Just yesterday or the day before, Park Avenue Festival in Rochester and the Cornhill Arts Festival, they've all canceled for this summer. So it's like, oh my God, we don't have anything to look forward to in the middle of the summer anymore. This is kind of weird.
Yeah, Canal Days in Fairport got canceled the other day, too.
Oh, God, I heard about that. Yeah, that too.
Yeah. I don't know where I'm going to get my kettle corn this year.
Oh, no. That's definitely a thing.
Oh, yeah, like I always get the kettle corn from the guy at the Lilac Festival. It's like the best kettle corn. And now I'm like, but...
that has to be a future podcast now. We're going to talk about how to find the best kettle corn in Monroe County. So, I
got to look up what it is and then just like find their website or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Madonna Mia. All right, so with very few events to talk about, and we're holding on hopes that May 16th we're still going to be able to pull Cosplay Day together, but we're monitoring all the situations very intently just to make sure that we're not making decisions that are unhealthy for people.
That'd be a good day to wear a mask.
Yeah, it'd be a great day to wear a mask, actually, when you think about it. But with very few things going on in the event list, we're just going to jump right into the question of the week. Elizabeth, as our guest of honor, pick a number between 1 and 315.
Well, we talked a lot about the 13th Doctor, so I should say 13.
Lucky number 13 it is. Daniel-san, bring forth question number 13.
Number 13. If you were in a witness protection program, what would be your new name and where would you go?
Oh, that is fantastic. Elizabeth, this is your fault, so you get to make the first answer. If you were in the witness protection program, what would be your name and where would you want to be?
Oh, I cannot think of a name. But I would like to go to Hawaii, maybe?
That's good. Hawaii's good.
Because I'm sick of having snow in April.
I unfortunately remember when it snowed on Mother's Day back when I was a freshman in college.
Yeah, they did it was either, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago at the Lilac Festival. It was hailing and snowing, and I'm like, but it's the Lilac Festival. It's May. Come on.
I know. Seriously, it's wait, what? All right, so we're not sure what your name would be.
No,
but you'd be living in Hawaii and wearing Hawaiian shirts and drinking from coconuts and solving crimes, driving a Ferrari and things like that. Okay, I might have embellished that last part. How about you, Tanya Fabulous? What would your witness protection program name be?
You just said it.
I just said it?
Yeah.
Tanya Fabulous?
Tanya Fabulous.
That was the first thing that had popped into my mind initially. That was given to me by Susan and Billy.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm with Elizabeth. I don't know what my name would be. I mean, my name's changed so many times over the last 40 some odd years that I don't even know which way's up anymore anyway.
Oh, yes, you do. You're Tanya. That's
yes.
all you need to worry about.
Yes.
Tanya Ann.
Yes. I don't know about the name. It was funny because I saw this question on Dan's list that he sent out to us, and it popped into my mind a while ago, but I'm just like, I don't know. But where would I go? I think I would go to San Francisco.
Nice. Very nice.
So I don't know. Maybe Lee. I don't know.
Ayakoka?
No.
No.
I'm not sure.
Leaned over. I leaned over.
Very funny.
All right. Daniel-san, you're next.
I probably have to go to Orlando.
Okay.
So I wonder why.
And I don't know, my name might be like Mickey or something. That'd be kind of fun. Mickey something.
Mickey Iskowitz from Orlando.
There you go.
That's it. Oh, Billy.
First, I think I want to go to Canada just because they have fine health care and a sane leader. And I'm going to steal Homer Simpson's name that he took when he needed a pseudonym. He looked at a hairdryer and saw the short name for maximum power, and his name became Max Power.
That's funny. That's funny.
I'll go Max Power in Canada.
Okay.
Well, maybe somewhere in the hinterlands, just to be far away from the big city, like Edmonton or something.
There you go. Wait, social distancing at its finest.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was thinking of San Francisco for some reasons. So I'll live with you, Tanya. You and I will keep each other company.
Okay.
My very first online role-playing game character was a Star Trek game. So Star Trek, Starfleet Command based in San Francisco. That's why I thought about the city. And then I would take the name of the character, which was Colin Winters. So I'll be Colin Winters living in San Francisco.
Okay.
This doesn't sound very astounding right now, but that's basically was the first.
Colin Winters.
Yeah, you played alongside him. You were his brother Noah, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Nolan, that's right.
Nolan Winters. Yep.
Yeah, that was funny. That's funny. So that's basically when you have short-term readiness for these questions, you just got to come up with whatever's at the top of your head. So there we go. Oh, that's funny. All right, so that's a little wrap-a-roo on that particular episode. That was fun. Elizabeth, again, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I had fun.
Absolutely. We're going to talk again soon. We're going to be having you on board to talk about DuckTales coming up in the next couple of weeks. And we're going to be focusing on the newer series, not the older one, or we're going to talk about both?
Yeah, the newer one. I've watched like one or two of the older one, but the new one is definitely worth talking about because it is very, very good, and David Tennant's in it. So
there you go. That's a win right there. That's great.
You know, it's Scottish as he's ever allowed to be in a role. So.
All right. So then for Elizabeth and for Dan, for Tanya and for Billy, my name is Chris, and this has been, hey, Dan, cue the music right about now. This has been Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky, because I'm going to throw that in for the fun of it. The product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic Con, coming at you hopefully in September 19th and 20th of the 2020 year. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us wherever we go, and we will lead you to where the entertainment is. Have a safe week, have a great week, and we will talk to you all soon.